most people don't think twice about using gas in their homes.
They're burning it for heating in the winter. They're burning it in their water heater. Maybe they've got a dryer drying their clothes, or they're cooking on it.
But behind those everyday encounters are unseen risks.
The gas company tells you it's natural gas, so that sounds great, but that's not the whole story.
All of these years, I've been living in a house with gas, and now I'm being told that gas is dangerous to my health, dangerous to the environment.
Okay. Gas is contributing to climate change, it's contributing to human health harms, and there's a real prospect that it will continue contributing to higher energy costs.
So how does gas pose these risks? To answer that question, we need to understand a bit about how gas gets into our homes in the first place.
Running down the street in your neighborhood, under the asphalt, there is a gas line, a gas main, which is a big pipe that's bringing gas to all the different homes in that neighborhood.
Those pipes running underground are aging.
So while the average is 30 plus years, a state like Massachusetts, more than a quarter of the pipes are over 50 years old. And in a place like Chicago, just a couple years ago, they pulled a pipe out of the ground that was built before the Civil War.
Aging pipes mean more gas leaks, which pose climate risks.
Natural gas is almost entirely methane, and methane is tremendously more powerful than CO2 as a greenhouse gas. So even a little bit of leakage can have a really big impact in driving climate change.
The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that in 2021, more than 500,000 metric tons of methane leaked from the pipelines that deliver gas to homes. That's roughly equivalent to the annual greenhouse gas emissions of 3 million cars.
In DC, the gas pipes are over 100 years old. Even our church, which is right up the street, you could just stand there and smell the gas in front of that.
In our nation's capital, an interfaith environmental coalition called Beyond Gas DC has organized a citizen science effort to track the problem of gas leaks from pipes.
This is not academics or people who work for a scientific organization. It's just everyday people going around doing the testing.
Rosa and Charlene Pierce are volunteers involved in the Beyond Gas DC Coalition's work.
We're going to test the gas in the street to see how much gas is really being emitted into our atmosphere. We're going to test it with an instrument.
That instrument is an industry-grade gas detector. Volunteers insert the nozzle into utility access caps. The instrument draws in air, then measures the amount of methane. From February of 21 to February of 22, volunteers like Pierce and Lee took methane measurements all around Washington, D.C.
And what we found was more than 400 leaks, almost 15 of which were at the level at which they could potentially explode. And I want to emphasize this was by no means comprehensive. I mean, we found 400 leaks in a tiny, tiny sample of less than 1%, maybe even less than 1/10 of 1% of all of these gas caps across DC.
Academic and government studies have confirmed that DC has a gas leaks problem. In 2021, the DC Department of Energy and Environment found leaks in more than 3,000 locations in the city. DC isn't the only city with this problem. A 2019 study found 6 U.S. cities, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Providence, and Boston had methane emissions more than twice the EPA's estimates. And from 2013 to 2018, the Environmental Defense Fund, Google Earth Outreach, and Colorado State University conducted a snapshot study of gas leaks in various cities using street view cars equipped with methane analyzers. And no surprise, when sampling locations in different cities, older pipes leaked more than newer ones. But replacing old pipes is expensive.
What we've seen is a big increase in the rate of replacement and the rate of spending on the system. So in the 2000s, across the country, utilities spent maybe $5 billion a year doing this type of upgrade and maintenance. The last few years, we're up over $20 billion. So we've more than quadrupled in that time frame.
And it's customers who typically foot the bill for these increased infrastructure costs.
In addition to cost considerations, replacing aging pipes also raises climate concerns, since installing new infrastructure locks in decades of its use, which in this case equates to burning more fossil fuel.
The climate risks posed by leaky pipes aren't the only concern with gas infrastructure. Gas appliances in the home, like stoves and heaters, can emit health-harming pollutants.
Natural gas is mostly methane, but the parts that are not methane include some other things that could be harmful for us as well. And a recent study showed that benzene is one of those, for instance.
A peer-reviewed study conducted by Stanford researchers and published in Environmental Science and Technology found for the first time that gas stoves can contribute to elevated concentrations of benzene, which is a carcinogen. In some kitchens, the levels of benzene were on par with what you find in secondhand smoke. The study also found that people outside the kitchen can be exposed to elevated levels of benzene for hours after the stove is turned off. Benzene isn't the only health-harming pollutant associated with burning gas.
There's also nitrogen dioxide. According to the American Lung Association, nitrogen dioxide causes a range of harmful effects on the lungs. Scientific evidence suggests that exposure to NO2 could likely cause asthma in children.
It's also a precursor to other health-harming pollutants like ozone and particulate matter.
In Washington, D.C., neighborhood researchers are now turning their attention to these gas stove emissions, testing for nitrogen dioxide in their own kitchens.
Generally, you cut the stove on and have it on for about 15 minutes before. Set it at 350, and then with the instrument, you just go in and measure. The final reading is 86, and that's after 30 minutes.
How bad was it in your kitchen today?
The last reading was 86, so that's all within the moderate level.
Okay, so that's a lot better than a lot of kitchens. Some of them, they're double, triple, even quadruple that.
As of November 2023, the group tested roughly 160 residential kitchens in D.C. Of those, about 2/3 had levels of nitrogen dioxide at or above the EPA standard.
The EPA's limit for nitrogen dioxide in outdoor air is 100 parts per billion, and we're seeing double, triple, even almost quadruple that inside people's homes. They are well exceeding the outdoor air standards indoors. And one of the things we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic is that when you have nasty stuff floating around in the air, it's a lot worse indoors than it is outdoors. And we are having levels of nitrogen dioxide that are totally unsafe in people's kitchens every day.
Being a part of the gas testing has made me aware that it's time for a change, that there are things we can do.
We've got things an individual family can do, and we've got things a city or a state might do. For an individual family, we're definitely seeing this growing interest in getting off of gas. For a city or a state, we're seeing growing interest in planning a well-managed transition for this gas system. What if, instead of digging up the street, pulling out the old pipe, putting in a brand new pipe and connecting it to everyone else and perpetuating the system, what if we could just close the valve and switch all those customers to something else?
Advocates say moving away from gas will help the environment, indoor air quality, and health.
We think the place to start is electrifying the homes of low and moderate income residents. And here in DC, we have legislation called the Healthy Homes Act, which would do just that.
Introduced in February of 2023, the city's Healthy Homes Act aims to supplement federal support for home electrification with local funds.
She's supporting DC's proposed Healthy Homes Act that will help lower-income residents move from gas to electric in their homes.
It would cover the full cost of removing fossil fuel appliances, furnaces, and other equipment from people's homes and replace them with clean and efficient electric alternatives.
In 2018, DC passed the Clean Energy Act, which aims for 100% renewable energy by 2032. Advocates argue electrifying homes is a key first step in achieving that goal.
People have said to me, I hear that you're going to make people get rid of the gas stove. We're not going to make anybody do anything. Some people accept it and appreciate it, but then other people are not accepting of it. We're not trying to make anybody give anything up. We basically want to educate people about gas and the impacts of gas. So it varies, but I still feel it's part of the educational process. It's going to take work. It's going to take education where the people have to learn to advocate for themselves and ask for things. But it's also going to take the local governments and state governments helping to push through what we're asking for.
Did you ever think you'd be a gas educator?
Not at 75. No, I didn't. But I'm glad that I am. And I'm glad that I'm part of that movement to go beyond gas.